anymore. They need to be ranked.
I give credit to the New York Yankees. Before we begin anything, major shout out to my buddy Jonah Craney, who put that new intro together in an hour and a half on 24 hours notice. So thank you, Jonah. This is the 1 year anniversary of the Sports Saga podcast. It is brought to you by Aldias Electric, the official electrician of the Sports Saga podcast, the Gonzalez family team of Keller Williams, Southwood Tuppa, and Smack Apparel, the official rivalry gear of the Sports Saga podcast. Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. With Tyler Sundner and Keegan Hamlet, I'm Brady Kudo. Our first of 4 guests today is the man, the myth, the legend, the biggest Broncos fan you'll find this side of the Mississippi, Brett Schaubs. Brett, good to see you, my friend. How's everything going?
Hey, good to see you guys again. Thanks for having me on. I mean, everything's been good, been busy, keeping along, and excited to get started.
So the last time we talked, Brett was in full baseball swing, doing his Brockton Rock duties. But now, Brett has added on to that resume via the Amica Mutual Pavilion and the Providence Bruins. So first of all, congratulations on that again.
Thank you.
Second of all, AHL hockey. What's that been like? I mean, you're there every Friday and Saturday night. What has that experience been like so far?
You know, I want to say it's a dream. We are continuing to truckle on. I mean, it's definitely been an experience like no other that I've ever had. I'll put it at that point. Going from high school hockey to the Northeast Generals, don't get me wrong, those organizations are fabulous, and I've enjoyed every single moment. But walking into an arena with 7,000-8,000 people packed in there on a Friday night, and guys are coming out on the ice for warmups. I mean, you sort of just get like this sensation of like tingling. Like you get that feeling where sometimes you're a fan for the first time at a Bruins game, and you sit down and you're like, holy moly, like I'm actually watching this game. But now I'm in the press area, and like I'm watching it as if like I'm working, like I'm actually, this is my job. And it's kind of surreal, to be honest with you. I've been there for, God, it's been a little past 7 months now, and still feels like I just started. And you never lose the feeling of excitement and joy. So it's definitely been a one-of-a-kind experience.
So you've learned your craft through Dean, through Mr. Rook. I know, Keegan, you wanted to dive deeper into that.
Yeah, so obviously Brett is now the captain of my group, and he's been awesome the whole way that we've had it, I think, since the start of spring semesters when we started the groups.
Heck yeah, man.
So you're now a junior. You're up there with Austin and Ben. You guys are running the whole show now. Was there any advice that you got as a freshman with previous leaders that now you guys are trying to pass along to us as we continue and start our journeys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of funny. When I was a freshman, John always told me, if you ever get an opportunity come your way, say yes. Mm-hmm. Say yes to everything at the start, right? Because you never know where that opportunity is going to lead you. I said yes to my first internship at this weird and random summer league in Newport in 2020 during COVID. Had no idea what I was getting myself into. Turned out being one of the best experiences I've ever had. It was, even during COVID, it was so much fun. So always say yes when you're starting out. Now that I'm a junior and I've got all these things on my plate, it's all about managing your load. Sometimes saying yes can get you into trouble, as weird as it sounds, because if you say yes to too much, then you're going to find yourself running thin and not honoring all the commitments that you're getting yourself into. So say yes in the beginning, but know when it's time to stop and then focus on your priorities. Do the things that matter most. Do which things that are going to put you most forward in your career, and your load from there. I think that's probably the biggest advice that I've gotten and learned over the last couple of years.
Tyler, I'll throw it to you. You wanted to touch upon more of the advice in the college life.
Yeah, so Brett, my question obviously, so you've been the voice of the Dean men's basketball team this year. Obviously many exciting games for you to call this year with especially the AJ Weston 3-point pointers back to back. You called that game. So like what was that call like for you, and like what's it been like calling games for that Dean team this season versus in comparison to last year?
Yeah, I think first of all, it's been a huge turnaround this year. Even though they didn't make the playoffs, they had a dramatic improvement from last year. I think Joe Cabral has done a really good job bringing in quality talent from other institutions and from other high schools. The talent level has seriously increased, and they've been able to compete at a competitive level. And that's why all of these games have been so interesting. AJ Weston's been a phenomenal addition at guard. Malik Spearman has really been the big man presence that the Dean's been needing this entire time, from Charles Walker to Mark Blair to all of these different guys. It's a good mesh and a good blend. And I think when you watch it on the floor as a broadcast, you get to see it all come together. There are a bunch of different pieces. It's a variety, and it's a spectacle to watch. I think next year you're going to see even more of an improvement. And by that point, I'll be a senior, and I think those games are going to be really fun to watch. I think next year they've got a legitimate shot at making the playoffs again.
I want to add one quick thing, Brett, about the Providence Bruins work that you've been doing. Like, that's no easy test. Like, that's not just some small, maybe high school broadcast. Oh, this is one step away from the NHL. Can you just talk about like how this got brought up between John, Austin, Rook? How did this whole opportunity get brought up to you and Austin?
Yeah, for sure. So you hit it right on the nail. This ain't no small broadcast. This is a legitimate production. It all started in the summer, and it kind of hit me out of nowhere. Excuse me. So Austin Rook, who is John's son, is the current play-by-play voice of the Bruins. He does all of the weekend games for Providence, and he's been doing that full time for, I believe this is his 4th season. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he had approached myself and a couple others. This is August of 2022, and he said that he was no longer going to be doing it 100%. He needed some days off, and that things needed to change a little bit for him, and just needed to work on his dynamic a little bit in his personal life. So he asked us if we were willing to do all the Friday games and some weekend games for the Bruins. And obviously, without a doubt, you're a college student, someone's offering you AHL hockey, I'm taking that in a heartbeat. Obviously, that's the biggest priority, in any broadcaster's young career, is to get as up as you can. So I snatched it in a heartbeat. Started up in October. They introduced me to everybody on the staff. Everybody's been so welcoming. That organization and the way it's run is high class. Mm-hmm. I have no complaints whatsoever. Everybody's treated me so nicely, and I can't thank them enough. But started up in October just doing Friday night games. It eventually expanded to the point where I'm, when available, doing every game with Austin, whether it's play-by-play or hopping on color with him. I'm pretty much on every broadcast at this point. February's been a difficult month for me, just trying to work some things around, but in March, I'll be back to doing every game. But yeah, it has been a lot of fun. Hopefully expanding my role again soon. But yeah, I'm looking to stay. And it has definitely been a lot of work. It's a lot of time getting put into the broadcast, the equipment, the preparation, spotter charts, getting to know the people and who puts all the production together, and just making the connections. So definitely a lot of work, but definitely a massive payoff.
Yeah, Brett, I got to ask you one more question today because you're a big NASCAR guy.
Oh, you stole Fontana. It. I was going to say the same thing.
Today's Fontana.
Yep.
As many people know, I got Martin Truex Jr. winning. A lot of people disagree with my pick. That's fine. I'm going to be the guy that keeps picking him until he wins a race this year. But honestly, who do you got in Fontana today?
Today it's one of two guys. Joey Logano. He's always been massive in Fontana. Last 3 years, I think he's had top 5 finishes. He should have won last year, but Chase Elliott was dope and kind of ruined his shot and let Larson win. So it's either Logano or I've got Kyle Busch. I think this is Kyle Busch's homecoming. Now that Kurt Busch is no longer racing full time, this is kind of his chance to really prove it with RCR. And I'm gonna be a big fan of Busch. He's back in his primary car. I think it's either Busch or Logano, to be honest with you. But I wouldn't be surprised if anybody random takes it. But those are my guys.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Logano fan, but I was like, Joey Logano starting third at a super speedway. I like those odds. I do.
It's good chances. I mean, Mike Joy on the Daytona 500 broadcast last week explained it perfectly. Off the car, he's one of the nicest people you will ever meet. Super down to earth guy, nice, like everybody loves him. But when he's in that car, he's completely different. He is two-faced, and he will do anything it takes to win. If he spins you, if he tailgates you, he will do anything it takes to win. So Joey Logano in the car and Joey Logano out of the car are two completely different people.
Oh, nail on the head. Thank you for taking part of your morning, as always. I appreciate it. Thank you for all your support for us over the last year or so. Continue to do great things. I can't wait to see you on national television one day.
Hopefully.
Yeah, right. That's part one. Parts 2, 3, and 4 coming up in a moment. Thanks again, bro.
Yeah, you got it, guys.
Welcome back, everyone, to the part 2 of our 4-part, if you will, 1-year anniversary special. Now with us, a first-time guest, the reigning sportsman champion over at Seekonk Speedway, Captain Fun, Craig Pianka. Buddy, thanks for taking the time for doing this. How's everything going?
Everything's great. It's been quite the ride since this championship. Lots of fun. Thanks for having me on.
Of course. So let's get right into that. Your first title. What a road that's been, Haas. So you've been racing for a while. Obviously longer since I've been at the track, but it's your first championship. What crossing the stripe on the D'Anthony Vendetti championship night? What's going through your head? Is it pure happiness? Is it shock? What was that moment in time like?
It was a big relief to number one. And you know, no matter what year I would have won it, if I did, it would have been a big relief. But this year was the biggest of them all because we just worked so hard this season. Andrew Kuhn there, AK, and my wife and my crew, we just really put in overtime on it this year, thinking, you know what, I can't do this forever. Let's really try and get it. And I was so happy, obviously for myself, but more for my crew, you know, that my dedicated crew, like they can say they did this with me.
So Craig, real quick. So Brady and Tyler will tell you, like, I don't follow race car, NASCAR, all that stuff as much as they do. So how did you get into this race? Was it sort of like they invited you to come in? Did you sign up to go into the race? Like, can you just explain how that whole process worked?
Well, to race at any track, really, unless you're trying to get in with the big boys in NASCAR, you get a car, and if you qualify enough to be in that division, they'll let you do it. I started years and years and years ago when I was like 19. I did it for about a year and a half. I realized I couldn't afford it. And I said, I just can't do this. I bailed out and I got back into it in around 2001. I did it again for about half a year or so. Left again because I had my son and I had a pretty bad crash at Thompson. I stopped there. And then I got back into it in the last like 14 years or so, 12, 14 years. And just got back in and worked hard.
Yeah, Tyler.
So, I just want to ask, so like, what's the environment like for you to be a driver over at Seekonk Speedway? Just be driving there and entertaining the fans of racing.
I love the whole part of it. I love all about it. The fans are awesome. They really, really enjoy this. I enjoyed hanging out in the pits with a lot of the guys. Brady can tell you, a lot of guys hang around my hauler, and
I call it Murderer's Row, where he's
yeah. If you're not careful, man, you'll get eaten up by some of these guys. They'll convince you. Oh, they'll bust your chops, have you leave thinking that we're getting into a fist fight in a few minutes where we're just busting chops. Oh yeah, it's fun. The whole package. I just enjoy it. I'm a people person. And I like to have fun. So I make it fun around my hauler to relieve the pressure. Don't mind everybody kidding around and joking and having some nice quality Fruitland sandwiches and just enjoying the day.
I remember my first day. I shadowed the NASCAR Saturday night opening day races, and me and Sam Tully, who is also new to the announcing staff, we were just walking the pits, just trying to put our names out there. So Craig was actually the first person that I introduced myself to, and right away I was like, oh, this is the guy, right? This is the guy that I just have a feeling is going to help me a lot. So his hauler is next to Eddie Perry. Eddie Perry is the
very quiet guy.
Yeah, right, quiet. But like, I left that conversation with Eddie Perry questioning everything about myself, like here, who I am as a person, like questioned everything about myself. But I'm like, he's just, but it's, and then so it's Craig, it's Eddie Perry, and it's Steve Axon, three of the nicest people you're gonna find on that track on a Saturday night. Much like you and Craig, you're a big part of this. That's how I felt immediately, that this is a giant family. We all have our great moments. We all want to punch each other in the face sometimes. You know what I mean? That's what families do, right? Right.
Yeah.
So that's in looking like, for this, like, who am I going to bring on as for a 1 year? Craig had messaged me and he was like, anything you need. I was like, why didn't I think of this sooner? Like, I got to have Captain Fun. Speaking of Captain Fun, give me the origin of that, because it is I think the most well-known nickname at the track, other than pain in the butt or race voice. So give me Captain Fun. Where did that come from?
Years ago, I have a pretty good sized property. And before racing, I had extra time on my hands. It was a lovely thing. And I used to throw a lot of summertime parties at my house. Families and neighbors would come over, and I got a tiki hut, and we'd play games and whatever, drink. And this one gentleman, he was actually a police officer from Providence. He came over here with his friend, because my friend is his friend and also a police officer. And he's like, every time I see you, you're having fun. And I was like, oh, thanks. He's like, you're Captain Fun. And I'm like, Captain Fun. And I kind of shook my head. He's like, I mean this in a good way. I'm like, you know what? I like it, whatever. And my neighbors started calling me Captain Fun. And then when I got back into racing in 2000 and it was like 10 or so, on one side of my car, I put my name, and the other side, they're like, oh, you want us to put your name there? And I'm like, let's put Captain Fun. And we put that there. And Kevin at the track, the race voice, he saw that once, and that was it. It was Captain Fun every 5 seconds. But I like it, though. I like for people to have a good time. Life is short, we're working hard at racing here. Everyone, you may think it looks easy, but it's not, and if I can make some fun with everybody, it's worth it.
What made you fall in love with racing? Was it like somebody in your family did it? Was it friends that did it? Like, how did that passion start?
Yeah, my dad's best friend, Steve Sanford, who's basically an uncle to me. My middle name is Steven. He raced years and years and years ago, and I was probably like 8 or 9, and I was at that track. And I can remember having things happen, and I would hop the pit fence to go talk to him about it, because I couldn't get in because I wasn't old enough. Don't tell that to Gail. But he got me into it to the point that I was like, wow, this is just insane. And then he stopped racing for a bit, and then his son wanted to race, Steven Sanford Jr. This is around 89 or so, 88. And he started racing, and he's like, "Hey, you want to try this?" And I was like, "What? Yeah." I had to do certain things and get a car and whatnot, but he helped me out tremendously with his company, Commercial Heating. And he got me into it, and I just was hooked. That first time on the track is insane. You can ask anybody. The very first time going on that track, and it opens up, and it's the bull ring, they call it, the cement palace, all those neat, cool names. You just see everything, and it's like, wow, this is so awesome. And it got me hooked. And you'll ask any driver, they'll tell you the same thing. It was that first race that did it to you.
I remember I went on a friend of ours, Joe, his name's Joe DeVerns. He did an internship with a radio show King and I have been on, and I went on his podcast a few days ago. And he was asking me, he was like, "What got you into racing?" And I was like, "Well, there was a position open," and I was like, screw it, right? You live once, right? So, and he was like, "What's the camaraderie like? What's it like?" And I'm telling him the same thing you just told us. I was like, you get the feeling that it's just the passion. You could have a 26 car field and a guy that runs consistently 23rd in that 26 car field. It's the guy who goes to work Monday through Friday, 8 in the morning to 8 at night, and he's there every Friday or every Saturday, busting his butt. And it's for me and for you, obviously, at one point, nothing I've ever seen before. And I think that's what drew both of us really into it is the passion. And
Yeah.
you exude that perfectly. You do.
Yeah. I've dabbled in just about every sport there is. I've played or coached for my kids, and I've done it all. And, I love softball. I love baseball. I'm going to spring training actually in 2 weeks to see the Sox. But there's nothing compares to racing. It just, and anybody that says, "Oh, they're going left and they're not athletes," you just haven't, I respect what they're saying, but you just haven't had the taste. You haven't seen. Racing is a lot like any football season, where you get your teams that do this and do that, and good guys and bad guys. And, this person makes it exciting. This team gets blown out every week. It's just that different passion, but at the track. And these are real people that you can talk to on a daily basis. And, and they're busting their butts for this stuff. They really are, like you were saying, working all week, extra jobs so they can do that. And then working on the race car is a full-time job.
Mhm.
Don't let anybody tell you that it isn't, So you're right. It's a great passion. I love it.
One last question. With racing, more times than not, you got to have a support system. You got to have that one person or that one group of people that just goes all in. Jill, you've said it before, you can't do this without her. What does her support mean to you now after winning the Drive for the Cup?
It's appreciation, just huge appreciation, because you see drivers that have, partners in their lives that just can't succeed because they're hearing about it every day when they get out of the garage and I don't want to go to the racetrack and all that stuff. Jill she'll cry if there's a rain out. She'll be like upset, and I'm like, "Babe, I can use the brake. It's okay. We're going to be fine. Let's go do something." And I'll always make sure I do something with her if there's a rain out. But yeah, she genuinely enjoys it. She's watched it with her father since she was young, and she's gone to New Hampshire many, many times with her father, her mom. Her parents have been to Daytona 500 and stuff. So she was already kind of into racing. And, when we started hooking up again, because we actually dated in high school years ago. We started hooking up again. I was like, I'm a racer. And she's like, "I'm in. I love this." So, and
Awesome.
I'm happy the pressure's off that I won a championship, because it really lets her see, hey, we got something out of this. And honestly, my name's in the history books of Seekonk Speedway. That's my biggest thing. All this stuff. And I know people will talk about Captain Fun or something for whatever amount of time, but I'm in the books now. My kids and grandkids are going to be able to, this track will be around in those days.
Yeah.
They will be. They'll see that. And it's an honor to me.
Anything else from the two of you?
Who do you have winning Fontana tomorrow?
My God. Today.
Today, sorry, today.
You know what? I did myself a favor. I do watch NASCAR races, and I watched a good chunk of the 500. I'll watch a bit of the race today, but I have two kids, and the last thing I wanted to do was like when I went back into racing, I stopped watching NASCAR with the kids around. Like I didn't want their lives to be only racing, you know, I would do something different. So I don't pay attention so much. I'm rooting now. I'm rooting for Joey Logano because Joey Logano, I did not like so much in the past for some small things he did on the track that Matt Kenseth kind of, you know, explained to him you shouldn't do. But he's a great guy. I was able to hold his $100,000 plus trophy that he won about a month ago or so at Seekonk Speedway. And I got pictures with that trophy that he lets his crew drive around everywhere with. It's like the Stanley Cup. You guys see the Bruins stuff. We're huge Bruin fans, guys. Me and my wife, we go every year to the playoffs and everything. But it's like the Stanley Cup for Joey Logano. He let his crew take it home. And that, if you don't respect Joey Logano, that's a reason to respect that guy.
Yeah.
You know, like I would do that. Like I would let my crew take my trophy to work if they wanted it. I give some of my trophies to my sponsors. So I'm rooting for Joey Logano. I'd like to see him. I like a few of the guys really, but the old ones in the past that I used to, you know, really like. Tony Stewart was my biggest fan. You know, they're all out and stuff. So, you know, I watch as I can when I can.
So I might have told you guys this. I don't know. We have a gentleman at the racetrack named Lenny Ellis. Shout out to Len. Len used to race. Len's one of our race directors now. Len's son, Tommy, is Joey Logano's car chief. And so
That's cool. That's cool.
So Len pulled the strings and Craig got a picture with the Cup Series trophy, which was, I saw that on Facebook. I was like, oh.
Oh yeah. And I'm like, can I hold it? And they're like, yeah, go ahead. And that thing's heavy. It's heavy. I was very impressed with that thing. I was a short notice thing that they were like, you just got to be here at this time and that's it. Don't screw it up. I'm like, I'm there. I blew off stuff. Like I'm there. Don't worry about it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Craig, thank you so much again. Always a pleasure. Thanks for doing this. Congratulations on the championship again. And about a couple months from now, Craig's going to be a fighting champion.
Yes.
Season's right around the corner. Looking forward to it. So thank you again, my friend, for doing this. See you soon.
Thank you. You're doing a hell of a job, Brady. You really are. I'm glad the track brought you and Sam into the picture. It's cool. You guys are doing a good job, both of you.
Thank you. All right. Our third guest today is one of the craziest but kindest kids that I find at Seekonk Speedway every Friday night. And one of the odds-on favorites to win the Bandit division next year. Nick Uhrig Jr. is joining us. What's up, buddy? How are you?
Good. You?
Good. Fantastic. All right, so let's start. Let's get right into this. So you've been racing let's start over. You've been racing for a few years now, right?
Yep.
What got you into racing? I know Dad raced for a little while. Was he your main inspiration?
Yeah, really, Dad and my Vanessa. My dad worked on his car bunch of years before I was even born. They went touring on the touring division, and that's really what got me into Bandits.
So, Nick, you're 11 years old right now?
Yep.
You're racing at Seekonk Speedway in front of sometimes thousands of people. Just as you in middle school, like, what is that? Like, you're showcasing your talent really in front of the general public. Like, what does that mean to you?
It means a lot, just really getting behind the wheel and showing all these fans what drivers at 8 to 11 years old can do behind the wheel.
Tyler?
Who's your favorite NASCAR driver?
It's probably gonna be Denny Hamlin.
Why Denny?
Interesting.
If you look at my 2022 paint scheme, that's really what his paint scheme was, just different color.
That's true.
So-
That's very true. And Nick's car number is 11. So obviously, right, Bandits. This your last year in the Bandits? No, you have one more year in the
No.
Bandits. This is it for you.
This is the last year, and then 2024, I'm moving up to Outlaws.
And moved up to Outlaws. That was gonna be my next question. Are you moving to Legends or so? Nick's going right from Bandit to Outlaw. What do you get most out of racing? Like obviously, like it's nice to win, and it's nice to finish obviously higher than you started, right? But aside from that, what is your favorite part of being at the track every night?
My favorite part is probably just seeing my friends weekly. Being around them is really fun, like Sam Macedo, Ryan Van Ness, and just being around them. They have good personalities, and they really can help me with learning what to do in the track and in the car.
All right, so
No,
I
no,
got
I wanna-
one more story. Oh, go ahead, Keegan. I was gonna say I have a story, then we'll let Nick go. But go
So, Nick, let me throw out a scenario to you, okay?
ahead.
These guys will tell you, because I said this to the last guest, I'm not into racing as much as they are. You come up to me, you have to try to convince me to get into racing, to go see one of the races, go to Seekonk Speedway. What are you going to tell me to convince me to go?
I'm gonna say that there's a bunch of kids just trying to show off how good they are in cars and trying to make it up to NASCAR.
I like that. I like that.
That's really cool. All right, let me give you this one story, and then we're gonna let Nick go. June, I think this past June, or I don't know, maybe it was July, I don't know. But remember, like that one weekend where we had just that massive rainstorm?
Oh my god!
Nick knows where I'm getting at. You remember that, Keegan, Tyler? We just had that massive
I
rainstorm.
think so.
I don't
Yeah.
remember much from last summer,
Okay.
other
Alright.
than a city that I will be thanking later.
So racing starts at 7, right? I would get home from school, I'd put my stuff down, grab, if I had homework to do, I would put it in my speedway bag, and I'd leave for the speedway. I'd always get there between 3 and 3:15 every Friday. I was one of the first people there. I like to be early. So I remember I'm sitting in tower, I'm finishing some homework, and starts to drizzle a little bit. So I'm like, oh no, right? We got to go clean it up. Whatever. Passes over. So I'm like, oh, all right. I look at the track, it's not bad. So I go into the pits, talking. I was probably talking to Nick's parents for a little while. I was talking to several people, the Helgers, the Laforts, the Robidos, the Hendricksons.
I'm pretty sure this was the week Mikey needed to put his car in a trailer because
What's
it was
up?
raining. I'm pretty sure this is that Mikey needed to
Yeah, I
put
think
the-
he did. I think he
because he
did.
had open trailer.
So walking around, right? I'm up near the handicappers booth. And you just see a massive rain cloud just starts downpouring. People are running, putting their cars in their trailer, putting tarps over the cars. I'm stuck in this little handicappers booth. I still have I took a 0.5. It's me, it's Mario Pellegrino, our pit steward, Sam Tully, and Sharon Nadu, one of the women who works on pit road traffic control, and Joey Filippo, one of our photographers. It's a, for lack of a better word, shack. Okay. Not a very big room. We've got a couple computers in there, a lot of paperwork, a couple filing cabinets. We're stuck in that room for like half an hour, and then the rain passes over. The track is just drenched. I mean, drenched. Okay. I go back to the tower. I sit down and I see my boss, Ed. I'm like, Ed, what are we gonna do? He was like, I don't know. I said, okay. He said, I think we're gonna race. I said, Do I be a jerk and not help them? He said, I don't care. Do whatever you want. I laughed. I said, you know what? I'm going to help them. I'm going to go clean the track. So I walked downstairs. I opened the gate to the track. I'm talking around, trying to find a broom. And all of a sudden, you just see this kid. I kid you not. He's in a shorts. He's in his slides. He's got no shirt on. And he's got a shirt. I think he's like waving it like this. I'm like, who is that kid? And I walk closer. Kyle Souza, who's one of our media guys, he's like, it's Yurik. I'm like, oh, who else would it be, right? So he's got his shirt, he's waving his shirt, he's having the time of his life. And keep in mind, it's still drizzling. He's got the broom's bigger than he is. Okay. Keep in mind, up to that point, I had said 5 words to Nick Yurik, right? Because he had just had his appendix out and all that. So I'm like, oh, this kid. And he has been such a joy to watch race every week. So, but keep on racing, right? Don't keep on doing what you do. Don't fall out of it. I know you got the support system at home, right? So you're gonna be a kid that I'm gonna have my eye on all season. So good luck. I'll let you go if these guys don't have anything else.
Well, I'll just say one last thing. Don't let negativity, I don't know if you have it, don't let any negativity impact you. Focus on yourself and your career.
Yes. All right. Nick, thanks for taking the time, bud. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All righty. Our final guest today, I tell you, he's still my hero. Craig, how's it going, buddy? How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm doing great. So the last time we chatted, you were in the still semi-retired stage. What's going on? I know you've done a couple events over in New Bedford recently. You've been promoting a lot. What's going on?
What's new in the world?
What's new?
I guess I'm still quote unquote semi-retired. I guess that's probably going to be a label, I'd say, for a long, long time. Like in 2020, I did retire. And then after COVID, kind of everybody came back. So I got the bug and then I came back again. And now Teddy Goods is promoting his own wrestling organization called Live Pro Wrestling. So I've kind of worked hand in hand with him. And now I'm kind of back in the ring to an extent. But that's so that's a Live Pro Wrestling. Our next event is March 5th at the Vault. And it's a memorial for Nick Steele, who Tyler knows. Tyler has seen him multiple times. So
Yep.
that's
So Craig, we had you on a few months back. Can you just recap for everybody again, like what you do, like where you tour, where you did tour, and what you're still doing now for your career?
my wrestling career was always technically part-time because my full-time career is I'm a firefighter paramedic. So as much as I wanted it to be full-time, it really wasn't. But I've traveled along through Maine and Pennsylvania, and then just within all different parts of Massachusetts. And recently I'm staying kind of local because I'm not really, and the wife and kids and family aren't really keen on me taking off. And to be honest with you, the miles in the car and the miles on the body, getting there.
It takes a toll.
Getting there. So, but that's really it with that.
Yeah, Tyler.
I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of nervous for this because you know how much you mean to me. I didn't want to cry because you know how close I was with him.
Oh yeah. I don't know if these guys know the whole story. Do they know kind of what we're talking about? Because we
I
went
know part of, but I don't know the full.
Part of.
We
don't have to go into it if you don't.
Craig saved my grandfather's life twice
Yeah.
from a heart attack. Third time wasn't so lucky. And I can never thank you enough for you doing that because you know how much he was my best friend and you know how much he meant to me. And I know if he was here right now, he'd be
Oh, he'd be smiling. He'll be smiling at you. I'll tell you
smiling.
that.
And I just don't know what other to say but thank you for
Oh, buddy.
everything.
Honestly, it was my pleasure to meet that man. Multiple connections obviously happened. And from him bringing you and your brother to wrestling as young kids and hanging out with, and even before that, with his paramedic career and just multiple stuff. Guy's a great dude. And it was an honor for me to be a part of his life and introduce you into mine. And that's very, very cool. And I'm watching your journey, brother. I see you leg pressing. I see you at school. I'm proud of you, man.
Appreciate that, man.
All right.
So you've got Live Pro. Ted Goods he's had quite the few opportunities. Shout out to Teddy.
Yeah.
What's next? Are you staying with Teddy, or if you get that next opportunity, or are you going to jump at it?
Right now, I recently was in a brief storyline with Love Doug, who's he's new in the circuit. He's really going all over the place. A lot of these guys are a lot younger now. It's a different type of wrestling. It's a lot more spotty and a lot more high flying.
Mm-hmm.
My 80s gimmick style is kind of fading out, which is cool. It's cool. And now it's more of a cameo appearances until irrelevant, until I'm irrelevant. And then that'll kind of be it. But the final, there's been a few promos within the past couple of months between me and Love Doug, and we formed like a tag team called the Power of Love. And then he turned on me. But then unfortunately I had an injury at work. So I've been out for like 2 or 3 months. And to be honest with you, this March 1st show could honestly be for real, like kind of done. So
Greg, you've said that 8 times.
I know, probably more than that, but I know, I mean, obviously never say never, but
Oh,
with
right.
injury,
No, you know I'm messing with you.
a full-blown match, man, oh man, I don't know. And honestly, I love it. I mean, I really love it.
Yeah.
Locker room has changed. A lot of my friends have either, like passed or, have grown older, and it's just different. It's a little bit different.
Well, Vinny's in ROH right now.
Yeah, Vinny's doing well. Mikey's doing well. All the old school guys, it's either
All the guys
cooked.
I grew up with, Di Jackson, NXT.
Hansen's
Hanson's
Ivar.
on the main roster.
Oh yeah, huh?
It's definitely cool.
Couple shows I went to. I met Tommy Dreamer.
Mhm.
Awesome dude. He's an awesome dude.
I don't know how that guy's alive, by the way, with the stuff he's done.
Tommy, oh my God, that was my, like when I was big into wrestling, ECW, that's where it was at.
That's awesome.
That wasn't the most appropriate. But
it was, I feel like I'll get into this. I feel like ECW in a way, like the original ECW before like
Paul
Billy-
Heyman ponytail ECW.
that ECW had the biggest effect within the Ruthless Aggression era.
Yes.
Because that's when you had RVD come over from ECW when he won his first title and everything like that. And now like nowadays, the only good storyline within the WWE right now is what Sami Zayn is doing with Roman Reigns. That's the only good storyline right now. But I remember when you guys, the last show CB went to, it was the night before the Hardys returned at WrestleMania.
Oh, at the
At BCC.
that's when
You teamed up with Brutal Bob. Yep.
Yeah.
That was the last show we went to with CB, and that one.
Yeah, that's right.
God.
That was his last show. That was his.
Yeah,
last.
that was the last one we went to. Yep.
Wow, that's crazy. That was a while ago.
That was a while.
Yeah,
ago.
5 years ago, almost 6.
Yeah, And that's right. The Hardys were at BCC, and the next night they surprised at Mania.
Yep.
Crazy.
Get out of town.
So they're at,
Yeah.
so Brady, I kid you not, they were at BCC. Me and my dad had a full on conversation with Matt and Jeff. After
Yeah.
that, they're like, we got to go catch a plane. Right?
No.
They got to go catch a plane. They didn't say where because like if they would have
Stop.
said or if they would have said Orlando, you knew they were.
Oh yeah, you would have known, and then
You would've
somebody
known.
would have tweeted it, and then yeah.
That to me was the only successful part of that Mania because I have my own thoughts on how I feel about Roman beating Taker that year.
Oh, so here's the thing. Growing up, my guys were Edge and the Hardys. Those were my all-time,
I mean,
all-time
dude,
favorites.
those three teams, Edge and Christian, the Hardys, the Dudleys,
That's the
probably
best,
some of the greatest matches in
that's the best
WWE
era of
history.
tag team wrestling I think we've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
I didn't know that they were at BCC the night before because I
Oh,
remember
yeah.
I remember
yeah.
their music played. Both me and my dad were like, "Whoa!" Like we didn't see that. Obviously, nobody saw that coming. But that's funny. I had no idea.
So the thing is my mom was sending me articles throughout the day. It's like reportedly Matt and Jeff Hardy relinquished the ROH titles
Yeah.
because they gave it up because then the Bullet Club with Adam Cole and it was Adam Cole and somebody else, I forgot.
I don't know.
But they got it. And then they just found out, oh, Matt and Jeff reportedly flew to Orlando. And I turned to my mom and I was like, weren't they just in Fall River last night?
That's wild.
Dude,
That's
it's
wild.
crazy. And yeah, I feel like the real pinnacle of tag team wrestling was, as you mentioned right there. But
Greg's gonna disagree. I have a feeling.
Oh, I already disagree.
I think a team that would absolutely succeed in that era would be the Usos.
Oh, all right. I want to get the professionals' take on this.
On what? The best tag team era?
Just
I would
tear
say,
them apart.
obviously lean towards the 80s, but when you have tag teams like British Bulldogs and the Hot Foundation, and then it bleeds into like Legion of Doom, who's the best tag team of all time. That's that, you know, and it just goes on and on from there. So I don't know. I'd say my favorite era. I mean, for that stuff, but even with the Edge and Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian. But out of that, I mean, I don't have any other like memorable.
I mean,
tag team.
there's always that one spot where Edge speared Jeff off the ladder.
Oh yeah, that's moments. Moments, dude. I've always said this with wrestling. You can talk about matches and matches and matches, and then you're going to be scratching your head. When was that? What year was that? What event was that? It's not about matches. There's a few matches in your lifetime that you're going to go, wow, that was amazing.
It's about the whole card.
It's about no. It's
moments.
about moments. That's it. It's as simple as that. It's to make a moment that kids and their parents go home and go, oh wow, I remember that. Like when Shawn Michaels turned on Marty Jannetty and threw him through the glass at the barbershop. That's a guy. That's a moment. You know, when Shawn Michaels super kicks Nature Boy and that's his retirement, kind of.
Yep. So that leads me to my next question for you. Obviously 2014, the biggest moment of that year was when the streak ended, when the Taker streak ended. So do you think it should have been Brock to end the streak, or do you think it should have been Triple H in the end of an era match at WrestleMania 28?
I think Triple H would be kind of outplayed because as his career progressed, it would almost look like he did it to himself, and it's just kind of tainted, I think Brock Lesnar, when you look at his entire career from top to bottom, because nobody gives him that much credit for WWE work, his work is amazing, really.
Absolutely.
From his work to even now his promos, and just his career has been awesome. So realistically, if anybody that could kick your ass, whether it's storyline or not, that's the guy. So if you're looking at it from a realistic era, even in like pop culture, people know Brock Lesnar and people know Taker, and it's believable. You know what I mean? Rather than just strictly WWE story of.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So I think that probably would be the best guy. At least
Yeah.
that's. Mm.
How old is Lesnar now? He's got to be in his.
I'd
It's-
say 45, 40.
That's just. I like giving credit to people. And Keegan, I've said this so many times on this. I will give the most amount of credit to people who do things I know I can't do.
Yeah.
Mm.
Craig Costa, Brock Lesnar,
Brock's 45, by the way.
tip top shape at 45 years old. Craig Costa, tip top shape at around 45 years old.
Around. Well, I'm going to be 48 now, so it's kind of
Okay.
we're kind of at the almost the kind of closer to the 50, but
you
45.
couldn't fool me. But like I said, like with hockey, like hockey is my favorite sport to watch because I know I can't do it.
Yeah.
I remember like the one TRP event I went to. It's when it was the Rumble, the 2 rings, 50 people,
Oh yeah,
2015, 16,
man.
something like that. But Craig had been out of action for a little while, and then I had learned.
And then Craig made me hate him for a little while when he made his despicable heel turn with that
my-
manager, whatever his
thought
name
that
was.
was great.
Oh, Mark Neal, who is actually going to be at the Vault March 5th. They were all coming out. Everybody's coming back.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he
Man, I
made
know
that
they
heel
passed away
turn,
recently.
and,
The heel
and,
turn.
and Charlie was just like, "You got to be freaking kidding me!"
That's when I lit Brandon Webb's face on fire. Were you there for that?
Yep, yeah, that was the one that I was there. That one was, and then you hit him with the fire helmet, and then and then you had the Druids take out the casket.
Yep.
I'm trying to
That's
think. What was
But
that-
you know what? You remember the whole match, or do you just remember the end?
No, I remember the whole match.
Well, because I remember just the end.
I'm trying to think. Who?
The first match we ever went to with CB was when you won the interstate title in the ladder match.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, that was probably 2000.
That was like 2014, 2013 ish.
Yeah, I think it was might have been 2011, 2012. But yeah, that was a while ago. That was when I
Oh yeah,
really, yeah, that was
that was prime Craig Costa right there.
oh yeah. Yep. Now it's like antique Craig Costa now.
I'm gonna go to the big wrestling fan in Keegan Hamlet.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh,
I
God.
want to get your take on this tag team and Craig Costa not looking a day over 42.
Yeah, no, don't even ask me about it. No, I'll ask Craig one question though. So you mentioned a little bit like some of the moments in the fight, like some of the people in the fight that you remember that stick out to you. Was there like a match that you participated like in a venue? Was there like a venue that stood out like, oh, this is great, I'm performing in front of this many people? Is there one that sticks out?
There's been a few. I wrestled for a company called Big Time Wrestling, and they do more events with like bigger stars, like names. And there's been a few, like hanging out with Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat. I don't remember where that was. It might have been in Pennsylvania, or that might have been wherever. One of the cool ones I know for a fact was in Altoona, Pennsylvania, I think. And I got to tag with Jake the Snake, which was really, really fun.
Yeah, I remember you told us that story. That and
Yeah.
the Scotty Hall story.
Yep, that was cool. He wasn't as healthy as he is now, so the story was a little bit. There's some stories to that, but yeah, it was me, Jake, and the Patriot. But I'm trying to think venue. I'll tell you, one of my favorite places to wrestle was McCoy. That was fun in McCoy Stadium,
I remember that.
and I got to wrestle there. So that was really, I guess, for venues. That, and there was one in Pennsylvania called the Altoona Shrine, which is a really cool like dome type place.
Okay.
And they had some guys there. It was pretty cool. Like some big names there, like Bret Hart and
Oh, yeah.
Sting. There's been Piper, and just, it's been pretty
Oh,
cool.
nice.
But
Yeah, I remember that the night Ric Flair came to the PAL Hall for the first time.
oh
was the-
yeah,
we found out when Piper passed away.
he was signing autographs
Yep.
at the time. He actually supposedly got a call from Hunter, and he went outside. And he was, poor guy was broken.
Get out
Oh,
of
yeah.
town. Oh man.
And a year prior, Piper was at the PAL. Were you at that one, Tyler?
Yeah, I was at the one with Piper.
Yeah. So
Because
that was
I'm pretty sure Piper gave an elbow to somebody. I think he gave it to Congo or something like that.
I don't remember what he did, but I know he came out with us later. He was awesome guy.
Yeah.
But a year later, when Flair was up, and you're right, he passed that night. Crazy.
That was crazy. So
Mhm.
I gotta ask you, what we're seeing right now, obviously in the business, Roman Reigns, historical, almost 3 years as the champion. Haven't seen anything like it in 30 years in the history of this sport. Do you think that all comes to an end at Mania? Do you think Cody gets his moment?
I don't think it should. I don't think it should, unless they do one swerve, because everybody's talking about Usos and everyone's forgetting about Heyman. And I think what would be great would be something with Cody turning heel, because he's the ultimate baby, and I get it now. And it's just, but I don't know, man. I think it's going to go stale quickly. They could have had Sammy, because he's got like that big of a window to make it.
Right.
And they already I think they kind of blew it. So I say, let him roll through Mania and continue this until they find the right guy and keep rolling. But why not? Like,
Yeah.
Why?
I
know
don't
what
follow it as much. Good.
Why have it lose at Mania? Like, I don't understand it, because it's the biggest crowd, and Cody, I respect him a lot, but I don't see why it's like everyone. I don't know.
Oh,
He
absolutely.
Shouldn't beat Roman Reigns.
Absolutely.
But he's-
I'm 100%
No,
on
he-
board with you with that, because we can both agree on this from watching it. This has been the best thing for Roman's career.
Oh, he's the best work he's ever done. It's awesome.
Absolutely, because when he was a babyface, he was god awful.
Mhm.
I mean, we remember the night after WrestleMania 33 the night after he beat Taker,
Mm.
no one in that whole building in Orlando cheered for Roman. They booed him out of the building.
Yeah, he's definitely a better heel. I do agree. This bloodline story, it's going to get stale quickly, especially because everyone is anticipating something at Mania. So something needs to happen. So wherever it goes immediately after Mania, it's going to drop, and I think it's going to turn into a little stale. So they're going to have to, But I don't know. It's very like the Rumble. Everybody knew Cody was in it, which they should have just
They
left
should have
that
kept it a surprise.
Yeah.
Then at 30, it's like,
Oh, he's gonna win.
yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And I said this. I thought the guy that should have won the Rumble the whole time should have been Gunther.
At that point, why not?
He went all the way from number one, like 80 minutes in the match,
Mhm.
But I think if you really want to throw a swerve in the bloodline story, if you always notice, everybody else acknowledges Roman, except for one guy, and that's Solo.
Yeah, I know. They got to do something with him too.
I feel like you should have Solo make the turn against Roman.
Mm. It's just, I don't know. That's expected. You know what I mean? Because he's got that I don't know. I just don't like how they're making him like unbelievable. Like, I don't know.
Well, I think what they're trying to do with him is embody Umaga.
Umaga, yeah, that's what and it is. So I get it.
And I loved Umaga. Umaga was one of my favorites growing up.
Yeah,
Brady was too young for that.
Yeah. I want to get one last thought in. Again, I don't watch this as much as I did. I still follow it on social media. I watched the Rumble. I learned Cody Rhodes was number 30. I was like, oh, like anybody could have. You want Roman to lose a championship. Did I read correctly that Money in the Bank is in London?
Yes.
Mm.
Let's welcome in Jay White at WrestleMania
So
and have Roman Reigns lose the championship at Money in the Bank to Jay White.
So here's the thing about that, and I've thought about this. Jay White, he's not well known enough by WWE fans versus
I disagree.
NJPW, all that.
I disagree.
If you're gonna bring somebody in like that level, there's only one guy that it has to be, and it's got to be Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega.
There has to be Kenny Omega.
He's
Jay
not
White,
leaving.
right?
not.
No, I know
He's not gonna
leaving.
leave.
But what I'm saying is that's the only guy.
Tyler,
would be
he
the
built
big
that
enough.
him and Cody and Matt and Nick. They
Oh,
built
absolutely.
that from the ground up. And
What
I
do you what are your guys' opinion on WWE now and in comparison to AEW? Which type of product do you like better?
I'm liking WWE better because of the fact that,
no.
and the reason I say that is, if you were to ask me before Triple H took over, I would have been AEW. I would have said AEW. But what Hunter's been able to do with this company now has been exceptional. He's brought guys back that we wouldn't have thought we would ever see again. With Bray Wyatt. And I know there's a lot of mixed feelings on with Bray Wyatt right now with the long-term storytelling. I love it, but don't get me wrong. AEW is great, all of that. MJF is the most despicable heel in all of pro wrestling. But
isn't he like 25? Like he's not
WWE.
old.
No, he's not old.
Yeah. No, he's coming to WWE though in 2024. Next year he'll be in WWE. And God, I cannot wait for the promos between MJF and The Miz.
Yeah. I think my personal opinion is WWE will always be king. And it's about, and it's storylines too. AEW, unfortunately, the spots are great, but I don't want someone doing this ridiculous moonsault from the third row on Wednesday.
I do.
Because on the pay-per-view, what's the blow off then? Why are you gonna like, what's the big thing? WWE now with creative, they have so many tiny Easter eggs within there. Like, you'll watch a promo of two different guys or women, and then they'll have a tiny little Easter egg in the back.
Absolutely.
It's really cool. It's a cool way. Like, if you saw the whole reentry of Bray Wyatt with the whole big
all the
thing.
QR codes and everything, and they were bringing people in and everything like that.
It's just different. AEW hasn't had a story marinate for longer than, I don't know, a month. They got for story.
The last good AEW story I remember was the CM Punk MJF story.
Yeah, look how that went at the end of that.
And CM Punk is a totally different conversation for another day.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing I like too about WWE now is the one thing that Vince couldn't do with Bray that Hunter can, and that's give Bray full control. And you look at it, it's like Bray's gonna get a faction. You can tell the way it's going.
I hope it's Vinny.
I could see it. I could honestly see it.
Me too.
I do think Uncle Howdy is Bo Dallas. But there's the one thing that's throwing me off is who was the Fiend when Bray returned that night, because you saw the dreads and those dreads looked like Vinny's dreads.
Yeah, no, it's good. They're doing well with it.
Oh,
They better not drop the ball here.
They can't drop the ball, because if you drop the ball with Bray again, it's going to be very hard for people to come back and be behind him.
Agree.
All right. Now we wait and see.
And we wait and see.
And then we'll do a reaction.
Who opened that door, in the words of Bray Wyatt? Who opened that door?
His dad. I don't know. Greg.
We'll find out.
Greg.
Find out.
Thanks again for joining us.
No, it's my pleasure again. You guys are good.
Thank you. All right. So stay tuned. We've got the sappy stuff coming up in a couple minutes. I want to give a very special thank you to a few people. Chris Walker, Andrew Catalan, Matt Schumacher, Emmett Prosser, D. Scott Fritchin, Dave Macedo, Michael Bishop, Alex Beaudry, John Fanta, Bolt Brady, Mike Cousins, Kevin Farrar, Shahan J. Arija, Craig Costa, Adam Taylor, Chris Lewis, Kevin Connolly, Hector Flores, Brett Shaves, Evan Burke, Winston Bryan, Alex Redmond, Jim Jackson, Kevin Boucher, Brad Klein, Jerry Trupiano, Rushan Villain, Nick Urig, and Craig Bianca. Thank you for taking a chance on us. Thank you for donating your time to be with us. And thank you for giving us the opportunity to interview you. Tyler, the rookie, you're still a rookie. Your 1 year hasn't come up yet. The dedication you've shown, couldn't ask for anything else. So I thank you for always being committed. Buddy, I remember I was in a McDonald's drive-through and I texted Keegan, I said, we should start a podcast. Now it's later. That's the origin story of this. I'm in a McDonald's drive-through. All good things happen in a McDonald's drive-through. And he said, yeah, let's do it. What are we going to do it on? I said, we're going to do it on sports and we're going to interview people from around the globe. Well, we've been lucky enough to do that. Started with Chris and we've gone all over the place. I couldn't do this without you. I thank you from the bottom of my heart for going on this journey with me.
Thank you. And I thought at first, when you mentioned this at first, I'm like, this is a joke, right? Like it's gonna be maybe a month and then we're going to be done. Look at, we're a year in now.
We haven't been the most consistent. I recognize that, but life happens. But I think what we've been able to do over the last 365 days is pretty special. Each of us have personal thank yous and shout outs we want to give. I'm going to start with Tyler Sumner. Tyler, the floor is yours.
First, I want to thank you, Brady. I want to thank you, Keegan. Both of you guys took a chance on me. As the newbie of the group, coming into this, Brady, I remember your exact words because Keegan was unavailable. You had just said, emergency podcast now. Kevin Durant requested his trade from Brooklyn the first time. Okay, let that be clear. It was the first time. And you just needed someone to fill in. And I was like, I'd be happy to step up. And then ever since then, you said, just join the team. And I did. And I was more than happy to join that team. Keegan, obviously we both went to the sports broadcasting camp together in 2020. Not the way we wanted it to be. We wanted it to be in person. My first play-by-play partner ever, calling a 1984 Chicago Bulls San Antonio Spurs game with Michael Jordan and who?
Iceman.
And George Gervin, exactly. And you mentioned the dedication, and I was absolutely proud to be dedicated to this podcast. You mentioned all around the globe. I think one of those things, Nashville, Tennessee. The MLB trade deadline, Nashville, I want to thank you for this opportunity that you gave me. And most importantly, mom and dad. Without you guys as my rock, my backbone, as Brady likes to call you, Cousin Kim. Keegan just calls you Kim Sumner. Big Mike, Cousin Mike to Brady over there. We all of us could not do this without your support.
Almendinger.
The amount of times you guys have supported us to get us to up to 300 members at our first goal, and the support you guys shown us, we couldn't thank you guys enough. For me personally, you guys have been the backbone of my life, and I could not think of any other way to say thank you. And that's that. At the end of the day, we're just three kids who have a dream, and now we're making it possible. So, kudo. I handed it back to
I'm
you.
I'm gonna save mine for last. I'm gonna go to Keegan first.
There are so many people I want to thank. Every guest that's been on here, thank you again, like Brady said, for trusting us, for committing your time when you might have had other commitments going on or in a tight schedule. You dedicated, whether it be 10 minutes, a half hour of your time to join us on here and just talk sports or your career, whatever. Both my parents done a good job, especially promoting it as well. Barbara, Granny Ma, as well, the living legend. The boys, the boys in Somerset for reposting, resharing, following us. And when I said parents, also known to Brady as Uncle Kev.
Yeah, buddy.
And known to Tyler as Mr. and Mrs. Hamlet. And
Hi.
yeah, it's been a great year, and cheers to another year.
I remember living on North Main Street in Fall River, at the Foreman's apartments since then have been burned to the ground, quite literally. I remember growing up, and every summer night, 705 would come on, and you'd hear that awesome Red Sox intro with the chain, and then you'd see, Jacoby Ellsbury on TV, and you'd see Dustin Pedroia in that intro, and at the very end of that intro package was two of my biggest inspirations, Don Orsillo and Jerry Remy. Along with, I've met Jerry a couple times, and he was very down to earth, awesome guy. Between Don, Gus Johnson, and Doc Emmerich, listening to them growing up, they solidified why I chose this career. It's not easy, financially, mentally, and sometimes even physically. Doing play-by-play is one thing. It's hard enough. People don't realize it, but it's hard. Starting your own brand is a whole nother thing. All glory be to God for picking me, for trusting me. My parents, I can't do this without them. I can't. Always. In production meetings, in group emails, in whatever. Hey, can you share this for me? Yeah, I got it. Rides to Cumberland, Rhode Island for a game. Rides to Woonsocket for a hockey game. Smithfield. Entertaining my crazy ideas. It's not possible without that support. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. My grandparents as well. I know Graham's getting over COVID, so hope you're feeling well. A little better. Again, the same thing. The best. When people say that they're one call away, they don't always mean it sometimes. I've certainly felt that in my life. Well, when Joanne and Manny Ventura tell you that they're one phone call away, and you make that phone call, they mean it. Again, the support. Good morning, Caden.
That
Dang
kid
it.
always finding a
Good
way.
morning.
Always that kid finding a way to ruin emotion.
Not even the morning anymore, right? All right, but in all seriousness, thank you. Again, I've been very blessed to be able to do this. Building a podcast, it's like owning a business. It's like a part-time job. I don't get any. The only thing I get out of this is the memories and the experience. I don't get paid. Yeah, we have sponsors that come on. Their money sits in a separate bank account, and it's. I'll be honest, it's still waiting to be used. Again, we don't make anything off of this. We don't. The only thing that we get out of this is the experience, the memories, and the love for one another. My past colleagues, employers, who again have all been very supportive in this. Thank you to all of you. There's so many. I could run down the list, but for time reasons, I'm going to choose not to. You know who you are. My friends as well, who again very supportive, constantly asking us about the podcast and sharing it and whatever. So with that, we've got two things. Keegan has one thing that he wants to share, and then we'll get into the announcement. Good.
All right, let's do this. What am I holding in my hand?
A hockey puck.
A
This
black
is
circle.
From the first game that I filmed from Somerset Berkeley, December 21st, 2019. Prenda Cup win 4-0 against Diamond. That puck, I believe, even though he disputes it, I believe is Noah Taylor's first goal. because that's the first puck that went out of play. This one right here was from Wednesday, a few days back, February 22nd. Game against Bourne, 10-5 win. I'm calling it quits with Somerset because this is the best year they've had since the 90s. And there's other people now at Somerset who they want to broadcast. So I think it's time to give them the chance to do it. I've been around that team 4 years now. We've done COVID, we've done playoff losses, we've had the highs, we've had the lows, but I want to thank the boys, all the coaches, the parents for giving me rides, the fans just for sharing stuff and just saying, oh, you're doing great. You too, Brady, and former voice of the Raiders, JJ Sylvia, for hopping on a couple games. My dad, which I can hear the TV in the other room projecting us on the live, for letting me use this stuff for a couple games. And Ryan from Dean, who offered to film one of the games. Jeffrey, who's been there really the last 2 or 3 years, filming it as well. So big shout out, and I'm glad that this year's team is the one I'm going out with.
As soon as we started this, I never expected to get to 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. I never expected to hit 50,000 followers on Instagram and on Facebook and what have you. By the way, our TikTok is sucky. So if you could follow us on TikTok at the Sports Saga Pod, I'd appreciate it. But I always said we're going to be the best that we can be. And that's all you can ask for. That's all I ask out of the two of them. That's all I ask out of myself. Be the best you can be. And that's enough. But I always said, how can we make our experience second level? I'm a fan of, this is where I drew inspiration from. I'm a fan of the Field of 68 Media Network. They're a college basketball podcasting network. They do a bunch of different podcasts. They do a lot of great stuff. So I'm watching one of the things, and I said, you know what? We need to try that. Ladies and gentlemen, coming on May 16th, 2023, the Sports Saga podcast is going to give you our first full game telecast. Keegan, Tyler, and myself will be on the call for an MIAA high school baseball matchup. It's the Case Cardinals and the Westport Wildcats. Thank you, Case High School, for allowing us to do this. So as far as I know, Brady, that's not important. I did some research. As far as I know, this has never been done before, other than the people at Field of 68 who did a game between Furman and Stephen A. Austin. But they've got more money, they've got more people, they've got whatever. As far as podcasts go, we're the first, at least in the last few years, to ever do this. So, Case High School, thanks for letting us do this. Thanks for trusting us. And I shared it on here. If you can't see, I'm gonna join forces a little bit. So
Cousin
I'm very,
Kim
very
is
excited.
here in the live.
What is it?
Cousin Kim is in the live.
She
Says
is?
hello.
I'm very proud of this.
Hey, thank you, Adam, too, for having us. use
Adam
the
Kitchen,
equipment.
yes.
Adam Kitchen.
We're gonna be in collaboration with him for this as well.
I'm
So
not gonna lie to you, boys. This was a long episode today.
This
It
was a long
really
episode.
was. It really was.
all right. So that's
awesome.
it. We're gonna bring you a live baseball, or not a live baseball game, but a full baseball game. Something that I've been looking forward to. This has been a done deal for about 3 weeks, and I've been itching at it. I said, I just want to tell them. I want to put it out there. I want to advertise for it. And then they had to hold me back. They were like, "Nope, wait. You gotta wait. You gotta wait." I'm like, "Okay, I'll wait." So I waited. But yeah, that's the plan. So coming on May 16th, right before my National Honor Society induction ceremony, you're gonna get a baseball game. Kay's coming off in a historic run of the Elite Eight. Westport in a bit of a rebuild. looking to bounce back this year from a tough season. last year.
Absolutely.
Be a great game. So that does it. That's 1 year in a nutshell. I think we'll stay on Facebook for a little bit longer.
I actually can't.
Oh, that's right. You got to go. Never mind. I lied. We won't.
Yeah. Well, you guys can't.
For Keegan,
No,
Tyler,
I'm going. I'm watching Providence and going back to the
go
call.
ahead. Then go. I guess we're not. I am merely Brady Kudo. Thank you all for joining us. Deuces. Go Friars.